Hey everybody. I'm gonna be video off for a little bit while I finish dinner.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Just give me 1 second, please. Mhm. All right. All right, it's already 7:01. Be reasonably prompt, I guess. Welcome. We have a quorum here. This is the June 2026 meeting of NC1C representing Adams Morgan. Let's call this meeting to order. We have a relatively, well, I guess we'll get to that in a second. No, actually, no, I'll say right now. We have a relatively light schedule, but there's one item that I wanted to suggest we add as a late addition. Uh, Last week, the Department of Transportation presented on a couple of potential plans to restripe 18th Street in Adams Morgan. We don't have to take any action. We could if we want to like say something, but it's probably in our best interest, in my opinion, to discuss it and have any public commentary come in tonight. Of course, we can get that through other channels as well, but I think they're trying to go on a relatively, I mean, I think they're trying to balance a tight timeline in order to get construction done while it's construction season, but also to foster community input. So by the end of June sounds like what they're kind of aiming for. So I think tonight is one of our best opportunities to discuss this as a commission. So can I get a second to, I guess, further discussion vote to make that addition?
Oh, second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Commissioner, any other questions, comments on that?
Just if I could for a second, I was on that call as you were last week, and I do think this merits community discussion because it kind of struck me as an example of how not to do outreach. But we can get back to that later.
Let's put a pin on that. Uh,
Yes.
I did things kind of, I realized I just completely overlooked introductions. So we'll do that in a second. But just to take care of this, any last thoughts? Please to vote. All those in favor of the addition to the agenda, please say aye.
Right.
Uh,
I
any
Aye.
opposed? Any obstructions? Passes 7-0. All right, back a step. My apologies. June 2026. Let's do introductions as commissioners. Forget what we did last month. Let's start with you, Commissioner Balke, 1C01. And go up.
Thanks so much. Howard Bollicky, District 1C01. We're the far southwest corner of Adams Morgan, but the Hilton Oyster Adams, her diner. I mean, a bunch of local landmarks. So thanks much.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess next would be me, Peter Wood, 1C03, 18th to 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. More or less right in the middle. Commissioner Diamond, all you.
struggling with the computer as usual. Maria Elise Diamond, 1C04, the area right north of 1C03. So Biltmore, Calvert, Adams Mill, 18th and 19th. No big landmarks other than Walter Pierce Park and some rats running around the alley.
I would consider both those things big, unfortunately and fortunately. Commissioner Olson.
Scott Olson, 1C05, which is the safe way to the rear entrance of the zoo, the middle part of Lanier Heights. Commissioner Laughlin.
Linda Laughlin, 1C06. I would be the other side of Lanier Heights, to the far northeast corner of Adams Morgan. And great to see you all tonight. And I guess to Catherine. Oh no,
David.
Catherine. No, David. Can't keep track of the numbers.
David Fucillo, 1C08. I'm 16th Street to Ontario, Colorama to Florida with a little nudge up to Euclid between 17th and Ontario. And I will turn it over to my neighbor at the Teeter, Commissioner Swanson Palmer.
Thank you. I'm Catherine Swanson Palmer. I represent single member district 1C09, and I am Commissioner Fucillo's neighbor, as you said. My district is the Harris Teeter to Columbia Road, and then over to 16. And I'm the last one.
All right, thank you, everyone. So back to what we were doing originally. Any last comments, questions on tonight's agenda before we make it final? Treasurer, we have anything that I overlooked? I think we're good. Okay. So on that, tonight's agenda is confirmed. We'll move on to officers' reports. So I'm kind of doing this on the fly. I'm thinking if I have a chair's report. Not really. I mean, we're at the threshold of the year where I think special elections can't happen for commissioner positions. So this is what we'll go through the rest of the year. Obviously, DC primaries are coming up, so the next 6 to 7 months could be fascinating in terms of what we're looking at in the political landscape of DC. It's another conversation for another venue, not tonight. As far as just ANC 1C operations, I mean, there's the kind of the projects that we've been getting regular-ish updates on that hopefully we'll continue to get more on. The Taft Bridge is one every month is updating about the railings that they're putting on. I think construction is advancing on that, as well as the Calorama Park erosion mediation. I'm not sure what the latest is on that in terms of the next public meetings being scheduled, but hopefully they'll announce that soon. I'll move on to uh, commissioner updates as well as if you're the chair of a committee, any committee, relevant committee updates as well. What order should we go in? Reverse order, I guess. Commissioner Swanson Palmer. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no, let me interrupt. I'm sorry. Officers' reports first. I'm all over the place tonight.
It's totally fine. I was just going to combine the two anyways.
Yeah.
Secretary stuff. Most pressing is that I'm working on correcting our minutes from October for you, Commissioner Olson. I'm sorry that I'm behind on that, but just to make sure that that grant amount is reflected there. And we have office hours tomorrow at the line, 5 to 6, just like we do every other week. 1C09 updates. Hoping to schedule a cleanup soon, sometime between the end of June and July. And Commissioner Diamond and I will be at the farmers market on the 13th, tabling just to say hi and also talk to people about composting. So I invite all of you guys to join us if you can, and anybody watching to stop by. And those are all of my updates for Secretary and 1C09.
Thank you. Let's go to treasurer report, Commissioner Olson, and you can combine or not combine. It's up to you.
Yeah, happy to. Treasurer's report, our current bank balance is $24,000 and change. We received a partial disbursement of $2,830 for our fiscal year 2026 quarter 3 allotment. This is $3,000 less than what our allotment would be otherwise. That $3,000 is gated on documents related to the Platform of Hope grant. I think I'm nearing resolution on that. I'm hoping that we get at least some amount of that further dispersed from OANC, but I think there's a good chance that some of it we will not get back, which essentially means that we gave a grant to someone in the community and then we gave some money back to the city is, I think, functionally what that means. I don't have any big updates for my SMD. I've been a little behind because I was been traveling recently. I just do want to remind people on the call that the summer season for ANC election ballot petitions is coming up. So those who want to run should do so and start looking into those. Okay, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, Commissioner, individual SMD updates, relevant committee updates. Commissioner Fucillo, I'll start with you. Or continue with you.
Nothing right now for PZT. I much like Commissioner Olson, I was traveling a lot in the month of May, so I'm still catching up on a few things. For 1C08, working on some trash issues as always. Other than that, things have been relatively quiet for the time being, so that's always good. I will turn it over to Commissioner Diamond.
Welcome, everyone that is on the call. We have a lot of attendees today, so that is wonderful to see the community engagement. So a few reports for SMD 1C04. There was an event scheduled for Memorial Day weekend at Walter Pierce Park. The reading of the names for the people in the cemetery, and their relatives had to be postponed because of bad weather. So that will be rescheduled for sometime in September. We'll get some updates out on that. Um, there's been a lot of activity with porch pirates and thieves, robbers stealing things off of front porches. So I just encourage anyone who sees that to call the police. And also, if you are wanting to have packages delivered, maybe consider sending it to like a pickup spot like the UPS, like the UPS store or Safeway or something, because the now that the weather is nice, it seems like there's a lot of activity on by people trying to do bad things, which is something we need to all work together to stop. Also, same thing with trash collections. There seems to be a lot of miscollection, so everybody should just keep their cans out for an extra day if your trash doesn't get picked up. And also, you should use 311 if it goes for a week without being picked up. And I too have been out of town, so I'm a little bit behind on emails, but that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, Commissioner Laughlin, have we gone to you yet? All right.
Hi, so couple updates. So, last month, I think it was last month. Yeah, because it just started June. Had a nice walkthrough with the new DDOT Ward 1 rep, Noah Glasgow, I believe. Super helpful, super great. And part of the motivation to do a walkthrough for part of 1CO6 was I met with a lot of the residents from Parkside, the Parkside apartment building that happens to be my neighbor right over there, with concerns that when Harvard Hall had done a bunch of remodeling, they took down a bunch of parking signs, apparently. And so it's sort of been everyone who wants to park on Summit Road behind us has been doing that. So we confirmed that those signs should have been replaced. And so I'm working with DDOT and submitted 311 requests to get those parking signs put back up. So it's for residential parking for Ward 1 only. Um, and I know Kristen from the bid is probably online and later when she updates for bid stuff. I did talk to Noah about having new bollards or those plastic posts put up by over by Unity Park. That's been a consistent issue. I don't know if they reached out to the bid. I told them to, but I can reconnect and put those pieces together. Because with the farmers market back in the summer, it's really important that we have sort of that safety measure back up so that people understand they're not allowed to drive in that space. Um, I need to follow up with some residents on Ontario Road to do a walkthrough with them regarding the illegal dumping and trash there. Apologies, like everyone else, I was also traveling in May. So I'll follow up on that. And then I'm also going to follow up with some residents on Lanier Place to put in a study, a traffic study to maybe turn the other side of Lanier. So my side of Lanier that goes from Ontario to basically 16th or Argonne is two-way, and there's a lot of motivation from some residents to make that a one-way street. So let's get a study done and see what can be done. And similar to what Commissioner Olson mentioned, and I are in the chair, the primary election is June 16th. Hopefully you got ballots. If you're in the mail, please vote. This is really important. There's a drop-off box for our right over in the plaza by the bank. So easy to vote, and it's ranked choice. So please remember you can rank your vote or not if you only want to vote for one person. But this is really exciting for the district to have this opportunity for a new way of voting, and I'm really curious what the results will be. So I'm excited for Ward 1. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think next would be me. 1CO3 updates. I mean, I mentioned before Calorama Park. I'm not sure when the next public meeting about that will be, but hopefully they'll come soon. We'll learn what stage in the process things are advancing through to get this like $2 million spent to do a lot of repairs to the park. Also in Calorama Park, this Saturday, the volunteers for the Calorama, or the, excuse me, Mayor Mariposa Flower Garden near the basketball courts are having a fundraiser. if anyone walks through Caloran Park, there's a very beautiful flower garden. I volunteer in it a lot. Uh, it gets funded entirely by residents, so donations are accepted because a lot of money and time gets put into it through a lot of the volunteers to make it beautiful, which is kind of a nice, I guess, quid pro quo with the city or something. So it works out with a caveat that if people are able to financially contribute or contribute with volunteer time, that's really helpful. Uh, Beyond that, I think other stuff is kind of not 1CO3 specific, but I've been tangentially involved in the past. I think we'll hear some of it, like the Pepco project, some other construction right across the street. There's a lot of that going on. Some I think it's kind of wrapping up, just depends on the project. Some of it feels like it will never end, but that's no one's fault, I suppose, depending on the street. But I'll yield it there. I think we have one more commissioner to go, Commissioner Balki.
Thanks very much. And let me just start by following up on Scott's comments about the upcoming ANC election. It's my understanding that petitions and so forth will be available starting July 6th from the elections board. So the line will be forming then, I'm sure. With regard to the ABC and Public Safety Committee, once again, the only thing I have on the agenda so far is our regular monthly update from our local police lieutenant. We're not, I haven't seen a single placard in the last month. So I mean, we can all see where the economy is going by just looking around the neighborhood, unfortunately. And so the only other thing I wanted to mention is,
Oh, wait, can I ask a
oh,
question?
sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just because you mentioned the meeting. So as you know, there was a little kerfuffle with two of my constituents who tried to come
Oh,
to
yeah,
the meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, so while we're all together, can Commissioner Wood or you, Commissioner Balke, clarify if someone wants to come to the committee meeting, what link should they be using? Because I had two different people
Yeah.
tell me that they were unable to get to the meeting and they really wanted to hear the MPD report.
This might be
Go ahead.
something you can even defer to Sean. I think that it's the same link for all three. They're combined. Sean, can you correct me on this?
Yeah,
The like actual Zoom hyperlink is
when you go to the website and there's a little pull down with the schedule.
I'm gonna
So
pull up.
it's
Should
the
be right
same
there.
link, and it's the same link as for this, right? It's the same link for everything.
I think there's separate
I
links.
I
Like there's a
think
committee
that's
link and there's a full one, so they're technically different URLs. So the
mhm.
template and the bar on the top of your browser will be different for each. But I think all three committees use the same link. But in the event that we have separate committee meetings, which we haven't had that this year for kind of reasons out of our control, I think that each iteration will be stopped and then paused, so it's recorded and then separately posted online. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, we got Sean there.
Hi, all. Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, that's correct. There's a separate link for the committee meeting. We used to have one in the format prior to this year, when we had one meeting a week per each committee. There was a separate link for each of those committees, but now we are using the former link for the Public Zoning and Transportation Committee meeting. That link is separate from the monthly main meeting every first week of the month. So those links should be different. They are on the website. If anybody does have any issues with that, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'm checking on the website on the embedded calendar on
Yeah.
ANC1c.org. The three committees, as far as I can tell, all have the exact same link as they should. I'll double check the back end to see if there's
Okay.
something messed up. Sometimes different browsers handle things differently, so it might just be kind of, I don't want to say user error because it's not error, but something that happens that's not the website's fault. But I'll double check and
Okay.
because
All
of
right.
course,
So, but I'm in the clear if I say use the PZT link. That should work at least for the meeting that's in 2 weeks.
yeah, I mean for the
Okay.
ABC committee as well, I've always just clicked
Mhm.
ABC committee and the link for that has worked.
Okay.
So, I mean, worst case scenario, sending a panicked email. I check those when we're at committee meetings, and I think
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't want, sorry to derail, but it
No,
was a
no, that's
timely question. Thank you.
look forward to having them join us in a couple of weeks if they're able to do so. The only other thing I was going to mention is folks who know my district know that down in the southeast corner, underneath Mint Gym, there what used to be a little strip mall and then later became a CVS, and they went that didn't work for them, and they're still paying on the lease and they're trying to get out of it. And the landlord recently went to the zoning commission, and because this property is so close to Marie Reed, there's a number of covenants on the property that prohibit certain activities from taking place on this property. And they were able to get that loosened up with the hopeful intent that we'll find some people in these new categories who would like to utilize the space because it really is. I mean, it was renovated about 20 years ago, and it would be a great thing for the neighborhood. So it's possible in the near future we could get a veterinary hospital, a restaurant, a liquor store, or to go back to somebody's earlier comment, a place where you can pick up your UPS and FedEx packages. So we'll see what develops down there on 1781 Florida Avenue. And with that, I'm happy to yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Four very different clienteles for those potential options, right? We'll see how it comes. All right, so moving on in our agenda, I believe we should have a representative from the DC Sentencing Commission here to give us a brief kind of overview of a forthcoming meeting regarding their 2025 annual report. All right, thank you for that, Brittany. I think you're able to speak at your will. Welcome. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, everyone. I do apologize if my dog daughter barks during this, but I will try to make this as painless as possible.
It's a pet-friendly commission with some caveats, I think.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Is it okay if I just share a brief PowerPoint?
Please do.
Okay, let's play from the top. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, that looks to work.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Bunch. I work with the DC Sentencing Commission, and today I would to give you guys a brief update about a couple of things that the commission is doing. One in particular, our upcoming annual report overview presentation, which is focused in on 2025 adult felony sentencing trends. So, if you haven't heard of our agency, our mission is to implement, monitor, and support the district's voluntary sentencing guidelines. We strive to promote fair and consistent sentencing policies and practices, and we do community outreach and trainings through events such as this, as well as our other modes of communication. And we evaluate the effectiveness of our guideline system in order to recommend changes that are based on actual sentencing corrections practice and research. So just a general overview, we have 20 members, 15 that are voting and 5 that are non-voting that represent a wide array of different entities, federal and both district based in the districts, such as we have representation from the Superior Court, we have representation from U.S. Attorney's Office, Public Defender Service, we have representation from researchers, and we also have a returned citizen member on the commission, just to show the wide variety of different perspectives. And we are a small but mighty staff. We encompass 9 staff members that help with the daily operations of the commission. So just to look at some of our services, we do provide adult felony sentencing policy recommendations to the DC Council through our DC voluntary sentencing guidelines. We monitor and assist with the application of the guidelines by looking at judicial compliance with the DC voluntary sentencing guidelines. And we have an attorney on staff that is there to answer practitioner and community questions in relation to the application. One of our more popular and what I'll be discussing today are research and data request capabilities. On our website, we have a wealth of publications that are focused on adult felony sentencing trends by felony offense. We have information in relation to arrested sentencing trends, as well as we have a report one in particular focused in domestic violence sentencing trends. And we also take data requests from the public. We've gotten college students, ANC commissioners, CAC council members that request access to our data, and I'll provide information for those that are interested in collecting that. As well as our outreach and education. I wanted to put a plug out there that if there are any opportunities for us to present, to hold the information table, we are more than happy to do that. And you can reach out to me directly. So while I'm here, on Wednesday, June 24th at 1 p.m., we will be hosting our annual report overview presentation, which is focused in on providing a high-level overview of the 2025 adult felony sentencing trends we observed in our recent annual report. Our research director, Taylor Tarnlicki, will be providing an overview of this as well as answering any data related questions. It is an open forum, and we want to ensure that everyone is able to ask those questions as well. It is from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. If you have any additional questions outside of this presentation, we are more than happy to answer those as well. And we do record these for those that are not able to make our lunch time frame. We have a wealth of resources on the website as well, such as an information sheeter, one sheeter that can help as well. And I often bring out to the community if those are not able, individuals are unable to make our meeting. So some other things to note, we recently released the Spanish translation of the 2026 DC Voluntary Sentencing Guidelines Manual as a means to open up accessibility. They are available on our website in PDF format, but we've also recently, with the addition of our recent English version of the Guidelines Manual, provided them to all DC Public Library locations, both neighborhood, central, and the DC jail to improve accessibility. So that is one of the things that we're doing. We're going to be releasing a past data response, which is one of our publication types, which shows viewers how we respond to data requests. We, of course, redact all identifying information, but this past data response is focused in on Title 16 sentencing trends. So that should be really interesting. And as always, we do look for community feedback in regards to how they feel about sentencing here in the district. So I'll provide a link if you would like to leave your thoughts, whether you feel like sentencing is too lenient or not lenient enough, or do you feel like it aids in your feelings of public safety? We would like to share that information with our commission members. And we do have an email list where we share monthly updates. So you would be able to see all of our publications. If we change something as far as to the guidelines, we send that information out via our email list as well as all of our major publications. One thing that I didn't add here, and I do apologize, I've been all over the place in the month of May. It went by so fast. We do have a monthly commission meeting every third Tuesday of the month. Our next one will be June 16th at 5 p.m. But every third Tuesday of the month, we have that, and it is a hybrid meeting. So you can join via Zoom or you can come to our office space. We welcome you all. As well as just some information. So if you have questions about the guidelines application or our data, I provided the email there, as well as just my direct email if you have any questions. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to present. I will stop sharing my screen so that I can place all that great information in the chat. Thank you again.
Yeah, appreciate you being here tonight. Really interesting. Looking forward to that meeting. Commissioners, any questions, comments for Brittany? Well, thank you again for being here, and we know where to go. I love data, so and DC is a data-rich city, so maybe be in touch in the future to talk about that. But in the
Please
meantime,
do. Please do. We have a great data team that is more than happy to help you out with that. But let me put that in the chat before my dog mind forgets.
thank you again, and have a good rest of your evening. Okay, so now I don't know if we have a Mayor's Office of Community Relations representative here tonight, but if there is one, please raise your hand. I think we kind of, as a courtesy, have them on the agenda at the request to give community updates. If not, they can come in a few minutes. I think beyond that, public announcements. If you're here for any public announcements, this is the time. Raise your hand. We'll get to you in the order that they are received. Thank you. Looks first from Pepco, Trevoris Culpepper. Welcome, Trevoris.
Hello,
Good evening. How you
can
doing?
you guys hear me?
You can.
Hi, thank you very much. I just wanted to just come before you just to provide a brief update on the construction taking place at the Champlain substation. We will just notice provide notice to you all that the Champlain Street from Ontario to Florida Avenue will be closed for a period of time to complete transmission construction and also build bring in other equipment and materials to the site. We hope to close the street from the beginning in about 2 weeks. And then you'll start to see a lot of heavy equipment and materials being brought to the site as well. So you'll start to see an increase in activity. We do have a community meeting that's going to be coming up on June 25th at 6:30 virtually, and I will provide that information in the chat for those to participate. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Trevorris. Looks like we have at least one question, actually two, because I have one as well. Commissioner Fucila.
Yeah, Trevorris, could you clarify those streets again? Because I thought I heard you say from Ontario to Florida, and so I wanted to clarify what we were talking about streetwise.
Yes, I am referring to Champlain Street
Okay.
from Ontario from I'm sorry, Champlain Street from Old Morgan School to Florida Avenue. I apologize.
Yeah, no, thanks for clarifying.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. And so I guess as a comment and maybe a question. So I was going to email you today, as I think if you know, the mural on the side of the building is something I've engaged with members of the community about trying to find a new home for. Uh, we found, think, potentially a place to move it to, but want to kind of formalize moving ahead. Is it still the best to reach out to you about that, Trevor? So who do you think is the best?
Absolutely. And yes, I would love to have hear more about that. And yes, please reach out to me on that.
All right, great. Thank you. Hopefully, there's been a few potential walls to move to, and none has worked out so far. So hopefully this is it. I won't hold my breath, but we'll see. I'll let you know. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Thank you, Trevor, for being here. Have a good rest of your evening.
Okay. And I will put the community meeting in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hmm.
All right. Looks like the next stand up is Kristen Barden from the Adams Morgan Partnership and Business Improvement District. Good evening, Kristen. Welcome. How you doing?
Hey, everyone. So I had a question for Trevoris, if he's still on. How long is that section of Champlain Street going to be closed? He said it's going to close in 2 weeks, but for how long?
Yes, for about 6 months, it'll be closed. So we have notified the Reed Row complex. They are aware of it, and yes, so yes, and
Mhm.
then Marie Reed as well, elementary.
Okay, and another question, Trevoris. The work on 18th Street,
Mhm.
when do you think that's going to come up to Calorama and then turn the corner on Calorama to go down to Champlain?
You know what? I think that will take place sometime this month. I'm not exactly sure on the specific date, but I can follow back up with you on that. I do know, and I have shared with the contractor about the alleyway being open for the businesses, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
So they are aware of that. But we can definitely follow back up to kind of let you know exactly when we'll be in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I know like the Green Zone, they took down their streetery because they
Hmm.
thought that the Pepco work would be up to them. I think actually that was in March. And the work is still like not at that point yet. It's still further down. So the Green Zone was curious as to like what the revised schedule is now.
Okay, I will make sure to follow up on that and get that information for you. From my understanding, they're going to be working really right in front of the school this week, so they should be um you know like right in front of the school, but they're not. I'll follow up with you on that corner.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so got my Pepco questions out of the way. The movie nights started last Thursday, and the weather now is turning out to be really nice. We had to postpone the first one because it was cold and wet. The May 21st movie that was supposed to be Rocky. Where if there are no other rainouts, we will use the rain date in July to show Rocky, but we're kind of holding that option right now. But the movie tomorrow night is Hamilton. It's going to be a sing-along. So it's either going to be epic or it's going to be hysterical. So y'all need to come and check it out. So that's tomorrow night. And then the Sitar Center, we're going to show the winning student films the following Thursday. And then we have Milk coming up for Pride later on. And then we're partnering with the Australian Embassy to show a new film called Kangaroo that's gotten really great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And they're going to pass out stuffed kangaroos for kids and other activities for kids. It's going to be super fun, super cute. I saw the preview and it looks adorable. And it sounds like there's like really great messaging in it. So that's the last one before the rain date. Hopefully the weather will hold and we'll show Rocky then and on the rain date on July 2nd, I think that is. So movie nights are kicking off, and then we'll move into Admiral Vibe at the end of July. We too are really curious about the Kalorama Park work and that schedule. I sent Chris Dyer at DPR a note today about that schedule because it could impact our Admiral Vibe concerts depending on when they start. I know Chris was out for medical leave for a while. I don't know if he's back yet or not. He was going to be out for like 6 weeks. But those are scheduled right now to start at the end of July and go through until right before school starts in August. So those are also Thursday nights in Kalorama Park. But we're kind of waiting to see if we might need to move them if the construction is going to start in Kalorama Park before that. So hopefully we'll hear back from Chris soon. I didn't hear back from him today, but hopefully we'll hear soon. So Admiral Vibe concerts. And then Fall Porch Fest is going to be Saturday, October 3rd. If you want to put that on your calendar, we know that for sure. The Adams Morgan Apple Festival will probably be later in October. We don't have anything in September, but I think the Adams Morgan Day Festival folks are still planning on that on the second Sunday in September. So something to plan for. But that's not our event. So happy to take any questions. I'm eager to know more the ANC's thoughts about the 18th Street plans that were presented last Wednesday. We were frankly quite surprised by those because DDOT had just told us that they only had money for paint and asphalt and nothing else. So we were a little bit surprised that there were two very different options. So happy to talk to the ANC more about that. We're going to be probably doing some of our own meetings with DDOT folks on that project because we have some real concerns. So anyway, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Busy month as always. Busy summer as always. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, sure thing.
Have a good evening. It looks like the next hand. Oh, actually, pardon me, Commissioner Fucila. Can't hear. I think you're on mute, but we'll wait for you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. There was another question in the chat for Trevorris about whether or not Champlain would be closed to pedestrians and bikes.
I was about to type an answer. I think Trevorris is off, logged off, and I don't know the answer.
We can reach out. Yeah, we can reach out.
So to the person who wrote that, don't have an answer, but if anyone does, feel free to type it in. Otherwise, we'll try to get one in the next few weeks. Looks like the next is hand up from the community. Jeannie W. Welcome. Good evening.
Hi, thank you. This is Jeannie, neighbor of the Adams School. I see you nodding, Howard. Hi, Howard. I'm reading a query from a neighbor who was not able to make it tonight. I was hoping to hear from Howard when the school will fix the fence and put up signage, as I've seen people using the broken fence since the email chain. So, unquote. So, as a bit of history, neighbors at 1954 Columbia saw students, parents, grandparents walking through a broken section of the fence to the soccer field. That is a hazard. If the field is open, we would like it to be open. If the field is closed, we would like signs put up. So is there any update, Howard?
Actually, your timing is excellent. I didn't bring this up tonight because I just got it this afternoon. But as you might know, I've been trying to get a letter out of the public schools and DGS and Parks and Rec and all those folks addressing all these issues and then get it over to you folks in those 3 condominium buildings. And I just got it this afternoon. My intention tomorrow is to email this off to the representatives of the boards of the 3 condominiums, and then they can use their management firms to disseminate it to owners and residents. I won't read all this stuff to you. A lot of it is sort of reiterating the legal status of how these recreational spaces become available to non-school users. And there's a whole list of restricted and prohibited usage. And there's some discussion of who you should contact if you see a problem, either 911 or the Office of School Security Incident Command Center, which I'm not sure how useful that's going to be because they don't have any people on site at the school after 6 in the evenings. But to go to your immediate question, I had a meeting with the principal and actually some folks from the mayor's office of Latino Affairs about a week ago because they wanted to talk about doing a food bank, which is a whole nother issue, which I won't come up with here. And I know it's going to be controversial with the condominiums as well. And I'm doing outreach on that. But I met with the principal and we talked about the fence. And I mean, some folks had sent her videos of people literally, prying that fence side up and going in. And she was very, very grateful that we did that because they did not know that this has happened. And what happened apparently was when they had those big snowstorms earlier this year, late last year, whenever, the snowplows came in and plowed into that fence and knocked it loose. And so that's, I mean, they've put in the request to get that fixed immediately. And I don't know exactly where that is, but I know that's in the pipeline. And the other thing, I'll read you the last sentence of this letter because it speaks more to the longer term need to address what's being done here. DGS is collaborating with DCPS Small Capital Projects to investigate installing anti-climbing panels atop the existing fencing surrounding the field and playground to deter access outside of authorized use. Procurement for the project has not begun, so we are unable to share further information at this time. So the bureaucratic wheels are grinding slowly, and we'll keep after them. And I intend to get this out to the surrounding community tomorrow, and happy to answer any follow-up questions you might have. But that's kind of where we stand right at the moment. Everybody's aware of this problem, but we need to do these structural things to fix it. And folks, it is very, very useful. Definitely, if you see a problem, complain because that percolates up to the top of the bureaucracy, and they see these videos and they hear these reports, and that's the squeaky wheel really gets the grease in DC government. That's my take on this whole big thing. So, any further questions? I'd be happy to try to answer.
Thanks for the update.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate both of you. All right, looks like last hand up is from Eliza Roche Robinson from Ward 1, Councilmember Brandon Nadeau's office. Welcome, Eliza Roche.
Hey everyone, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How you doing?
Okay, awesome. Good. I hope you guys are doing well this evening. I just have a few updates from the council slash Councilmember Nadeau. The first one is about the fiscal year 2027 budget. So all council committees have issued their reports with recommendations for the budget this past May. They've been talking about priorities since then, and there's been a lot of gaps, big and small. For example, TANF, the Pay Equity Fund for early childhood educators, childcare subsidies, and Alliance Healthcare. Specifically in the Committee of Public Works and Operations that Councilmember Nadeau chairs, the committee was able to send funds to every other committee to help fill gaps in the safety net created by the mayor's proposal, including to support more people in temporary housing and to expand food access, wellness for seniors, and programming for teens. The committee also found ways to take small actions such as licensing and building code changes to affect big results, like building more housing and speeding up business contracting issues. The committee found funds to continue and expand the public restrooms, including a new one in Ward 1 in the general area of Shaw in the Shaw Library. The council member sent a very long email the week of May 18th detailing the changes her committee is proposing. You can also find it on her website, and that is brianneknadeau.com, and you can just go to the news section. The council member has been very vocal about the need for revenue raisers or ways to capture additional revenue to plug holes. She is proposing a wealth proceeds tax, which is a 2 or 3% surtax on passive income like capital gains, royalty income, and more. It could raise about $120 million, and the vast majority of it would be from households with incomes of over $1 million. This is not a tax on middle income earners. The council member has been clear that she sees a current budget asking people who are without to give up more than people who have. Chairman Mendelson will take all of the committee reports and generate his own version of the budget that incorporates most of the committee recommendations, but with his own twists. We will not see it until around June 7th, so next week. The council members will take that version up June 9th, and we can expect some proposed amendments, perhaps some of those revenue raisers. The second and final vote on the budget will be June 23rd. My last item is curfew. So the council passed legislation in May to allow the mayor and the MPD to impose curfews. Councilmember Nadeau did not support. She does not believe it's right to use policing to solve a social issue. Curfew violation is not a crime. We should not be treating kids like criminals. The council member proposed 2 amendments to reduce the harm. One being a sunset for December 31st, 2028. The sunset would force the council and the mayor's hands that if they are serious about alternative programs that will help youth better than a curfew, they should do that. 2, prohibiting MPD from bringing curfew violators to detention centers or a police station, which is a recipe for damaging youth and can push them into criminal behavior. The teen curfew law with council members' amendments will go into effect late this summer. You might have seen a letter from the mayor criticizing council members who won't vote for the emergency bill. Councilmember Nadeau has pointed out that curfews are not effective at addressing youth crime and that the mayor is cutting funding to the programs that actually do work, like the Credible Messenger program, Pathways, the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and Parks and Recreation. The only thing that has ever solved these issues is sustained investment in our youth. The council member, meanwhile, is using the budget that's currently before the council to fund late evening hours in programming at recreation centers and connect more participants to the Pathways program to intervene and reduce gun violence. And that is all. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? I have one. Last month, we passed well, I don't even know what to call it. We sent a letter requesting that the MAMATA budget be protected because we heard some rumors that it might be cut and affect bus service in Adams Morgan. Are you familiar with that, or do you have any information on how that has kind of gone as the budget season has advanced?
I don't have any information, but I can definitely ask our legislative team.
That'd be
I
great.
can follow up with you guys.
Thank you. Commissioner Laughlin.
And there's a question in the chat. When is the vote on council on the budgets? Is it like a rolling, like if people wanted to testify or listen?
So I don't believe that there's going to be more time for testifying. I think they're just going to vote, but
Okay.
I can definitely double check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you for that, Les Roche. Glad to see you here tonight.
problem.
Good evening. Talk to you later. And I believe that exhausts the public input, the general public input. We'll move on. Consent agenda, last month's meeting minutes. Anyone have any final concerns with that? Didn't think so. They pass. Approve those. I'll get those uploaded onto the website as soon as I can. Moving on, I guess the only other item uh, general discussion. I guess it's up to us if we want to take any formal action or propose any. DDOT committee, I don't know who all was able to attend DDOT's meeting last week, but I'll just introduce this. They last month, well, a couple months ago, they asked if they could present to, actually, no, I'll go back even further. When the temporary rules for the streeteries in DC were expiring that get turned into permanent legislation to make kind of rules uniform across the city. Also, the pay structure got changed, which essentially priced out a lot of businesses. And that's why a lot of the streeteries, including the pilot program that was sort of, I guess, tangentially linked to that, that was placed in as Morgan, that we never got any communication from the mayor's office on ever. That one expired, so the streeters are gone. And then DDOT said that they were going to do something to 18th Street in the kind of aftermath of all of that. They originally requested to present that to our ANC last month, and then kind of at the last minute-ish, they said they would prefer to actually have their own independent meeting, which was held, I think, last Wednesday. They basically said, here's two options that we're considering now that we'll take public comment to see if there's preference of one or the other and what kinds of modifications people might like. Some of that happened at the meeting. I imagine they're getting a lot of emails and calls and such, but so I think this is our best opportunity as a commission to solicit some more of that feedback, and then if we choose to do so, send in any of our own, kind of summarizing the two options that they've put out for discussion. One is to propose to put, I think, a 6 inch tall median in the middle of 18th Street. For this is when I say 18th Street, I think we're talking Calorama to Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. So they proposed putting a median in the middle and for the most part, leaving the rest relatively similar. And then I'm kind of missing out some details, but it's hard to describe every section of every block. The other option is to basically put two unprotected bike lanes on the sides and have the rest remaining parking, which may or may not be converted into streeteries if a business ever chooses to go through that process. Uh, the initial responses I've heard from the bid as well as others is that, and myself as well, I was at the meeting and I said, the meeting is impractical. People will just do U-turns and it'll just make a mess. I wonder if they've made that option to try to give contrast to the other option. Sometimes people do that just to kind of generate discussion, but it kind of freaks some people out sometimes. So on that, I'll open it up for further comments from commissioners in the community. Anyone have anything else to add, or what do we think we might? Two questions, like the question of the designs that are proposed, and any comments on that, but also as a commission, anyone have any thoughts on if we should take any action and what that might be? Commissioner Balke.
Oh, thanks very much. And just very briefly, since I was on that call last week also, I mean, I agree that this median idea seems just totally impractical, and I don't really see it going anywhere. With regard to the bike lanes, I mean that strikes me as more feasible. There was somebody on the call last week asked about doing protected bike lanes, which strikes me as being very difficult in this 2 block strip, since you're going to have your bike lanes, and then as you go towards the curb, you've either got parking or you've got PUDOs or you've got, loading zones. And it's like, how are people going to get in and out of these loading zones, for example, if you've got, the bollards for the protected bike lanes? And just one general comment. I was very surprised that, I've dealt with business lobbies and things like that for years and years. And there's a difference between letting them run the meeting and getting them at the table so they're sort of fully invested in what's going on. And I was kind of surprised that nobody from DDOT reached out to the business community beforehand to sort of give them a heads up on what they're thinking on this. Because I mean, we all like to say that streets are for people, but if the streets are not serving the business community that is there to create the neighborhood in the first place, the business community is going to die, and the people aren't going to want to show up anyway. So you've got to sort of have a few priorities here. And if I were them, I would just sort of sit down and say, where do you need PUDOs? Where do you need delivery spots to make these businesses work on a daily basis? And then when you plug those in, then you deal with the rest of the spaces. And is this going to be parking? Is this going to be something else? So with that, let me yield back. But those are just sort of my initial thoughts on all this.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Kristen from the bid has her hand up, and she's, I guess, indirectly implied in that. So I'll have her talk now. Welcome back, Kristen.
Hey, oh, I guess I'm just on audio, not Can't turn my camera on. So yeah, I talked with Matthew Marcoux today. We had a long talk. Whoops, am I still on? Okay. Um, uh, and yeah, we had been asking for these plans for a long time. Um, DDOT had said after the streeters were removed, they sent us this striping plan and they were going to restripe the street back to the 2020 design, right? The design that had been there since the streetscape was done in 2012 or 2011. It started in 2011 and was finished in 2012. And which included the painted median in the middle and two travel lanes and then parking on both the east and west side, right? And so the winter was crazy and they never got around to doing the striping, which, they apologized for, but they also like never really communicated with us that they weren't doing the striping until, all of a sudden, oh, no, we're not doing the striping. And it's April, right? So, why couldn't they have done the striping in March? But anyway, so they said, but we are working on new designs and we'll come to the community and talk to you about them. Well, we kept asking for those designs over and over again. I can't like dozens of emails to DDOT. Oh, they're not quite ready yet. We'll send them to you, not quite ready yet. And then, a week before the meeting, they said, oh, we're having a public meeting, Well, I was livid. I was so mad because we'd been asking for more information. I talked to Matthew Marcoux. He's like, oh, so sorry. The team is just moving in a million directions. And, we wanted to give the community more than a week notice for the meeting, but it didn't work out that way. It's all baloney, yes, there are ways to do community outreach, and DDOT clearly is not doing that. And, it's really becoming annoying, and, possibly dangerous, right? I mean, these are, how the street functions is critically important. So, anyhow, so they said that there's three priorities, right, in this meeting last week. There's pedestrian safety, there's loading capacity, right, for the businesses, and then there's bike travel. I think those were the three, if I remember correctly. So neither of these plans does anything for pedestrians, right? So the cement median in the middle, how does that really help pedestrians? The loading capacity, well, they took away the loading in front of the post office as part of this plan. Like the post office has to have loading all the time, right? Like it's a post office. The trucks will just park in the middle of the street otherwise, right? So you can't do that. Like whoever, there was that one slide, on the curbside uses, and whoever put that together has no idea of how that street really functions. So that's problematic. And then the second proposal, yeah, okay, that one dealt with bikes, it proposes, I think, a 6-foot painted bike lane, not a protected bike lane, just a painted bike lane. I think they realize that a protected bike lane is not going to work on 18th Street. It will just get run over. As it does on Columbia Road already, right? I mean, there's so many broken cement backstops and flexi posts. I don't know how DDOT's ever gonna, keep up with, keeping those all there because, you know, all types of vehicles, run over them and park at the curb in the protected bike lane. So what we're thinking about proposing to DDOT is that option 2 for the painted bike lanes, but with some modifications. So one of those modifications that we would like the ANC support on is adding a raised crosswalk where the mid-block crosswalk is, right? If you did a raised crosswalk there, that would help make it safer for pedestrians to cross there, right? And it would slow down traffic. It would slow down the mopeds that are, doing wheelies up and down the street. It would slow down traffic. And it would actually make it safer for pedestrians. So that would accomplish one of those goals. And also adding maybe a hawk signal, the HAWK walk, don't walk signal at that raised crosswalk would also help make it safer for pedestrians. Um, and then we have to work with them on a new curbside management plan because what they proposed is just crazy and it's not based on any kind of reality of how the street works. Um, so and I think then if we did those things, then it would actually address pedestrian safety, loading, and then bike travel. So that's what we're going to be working on, and we'd really like to work with the ANC and get your support on this as well, so that those three goals can really be accomplished.
All right, thank you for that. Really briefly, anyone that is in the community that wants to speak as well, raise your hands. Feel free to do so. Commissioner Diamond.
I think the raised crosswalk is an excellent idea, and I was out of town for like 10 days, so I missed the notification of the meeting and also the meeting. And I would just like to add in, I didn't hear anything about buses, and I think 18th Street is a big bus corridor. And I see people waiting for the bus stop on both sides of 18th Street, sort of where the sex shop is, that bus stop. And so I think, just keeping that in mind that this is also a street that is bus usage, and also because many of the businesses on 18th Street are restaurants. And right now, the way that a lot of restaurants are doing business, like City Lights, is through Uber Eats and scooters. So thinking about not only loading areas, but also areas for the scooter delivery guys, like they have to be somewhere. So I fully support Chris and everything that you said. I think these are great ideas, and um, I'm fully behind them. And I don't know if there's an NOI that we need to comment on, but also kind of thinking about buses and scooters.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that if I'm not mistaken, someone that else was on the meeting can correct me if I'm wrong. I think DDOT did mention a bit in the meeting about like bulbing out some of the bus stops, something like that. So I know they at least addressed it, but I don't remember the full context. Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, it sounds like we should, as much as we can, I don't know, send this back to DDOT and ask them to do better. Like these are two options that both don't really solve any of the underlying issues. It seems like if we have to pick one, we should pick the bike lanes, but I kind of want to reject the slate and send back. This seems a bit crazy.
I mean, just to add context, I mean, the DDOT, at least this is just my perception, they seem to say that they're hoping to move it. I'm guessing they have some sort of budget timeline or something to where they have money to spend. But in any case, they're looking to get public feedback, or at least their survey responses done by the end of this month. So I'm guessing that there's a chance, and we can do whatever we want and say whatever we want. I'm not taking position at this moment, but I mean, I would hope that they would listen to that, but I wouldn't be surprised as well if we said, hey, fundamentally restructure what you're doing. That might be futile. I'm not sure. That's just kind of me thinking out loud. But anyway, that's food for thought and maybe for conversation. Kevin, welcome. Thank you for waiting.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I was listening in on the meeting last week. I'm a resident 18th Street. I also happen to work for WABA, former neighbor here in Adams Morgan. Now, but sadly we have relocated our offices, but still very much watching projects like these. I will agree that DDOT's sort of I found DDOT's sort of presentation a little bit lacking. After where I was listening in, and so I didn't see the slides until afterwards. So I was like, okay, I'm sure the slides will answer some of my questions. And they really didn't. I found it really hard to understand the changes that they were proposing for the curbside management, and I think that was sort of just kind of glossed over. It sounded like they were that this we're gonna really change up and try to get more of that parking to cycle through, right? Really try to limit the longer term parking. And if that's the case, great. But I think they did not necessarily do a good job of reflecting which of the spots on 18th Street are being, are going to see more restrictions on the parking to make it easier for maybe trucks to pull in and out. So that's certainly something I was struggling with to really note. I did want to flag on somebody had one of the commissioners mentioned the bus stops. I believe the biggest bus stop change that I noted was moving the northbound bus stop that's just like in front of uh, why am I blanking? Like in front of Tiki, right where they're moving it to the other side of like the alley slash like Belmont. So basically there's been a move to like move bus stops on the other side of roads rather than in front of the roads. So I think that's one of the big, and they're building out a bulb out there. So I think that's certainly a welcome change to make it more comfortable for folks walking or waiting for the bus. Um, Two things I wanted to flag and potentially for the maybe the commission to consider flagging in its own comments to DDOT would be why not consider a parking protected bike lane, right? It obviously would make no sense to have have parking then bollards and whatever, but could you move the parking like away from the curb and put the bike lanes against the curb? Could you do that on one side, right? If space is constrained, could you potentially have both direction of the bikes on one side against the curb, still have the parking? I don't know if there's room enough, but it didn't seem like I didn't hear DDOT say there wasn't room enough to do something like that. And I think that's certainly an option worth exploring. And then the last point I wanted to make, just about the enforcement, I think that was a comment that folks made last week. I've heard a little bit of that theme today, right? If we don't get this right, you're just going to have blatant, people to continue to double park and block whatever you put there, continue to just be kind of a mess. And I think one thing that the neighborhood could consider is asking for an expansion of a pilot program that I believe the district is doing around the wharf, which is camera enforcement. And so basically, like the cameras capture the cars that are pulling in and out of the license plates. And if you're there for under 10 minutes, then you're fine. If you are there for more than 10 minutes, then get sort of charged the parking rate. And I would love to see, I think the neighborhood has certainly been ground zero for a lot of, DDOT's, innovative thinking around how to do all kinds of things, right? The fact that we have the streeteries for as long as we did. And I think, we could invite that, hey, if this is working in the wharf, if this is helping cut down and really get, hey, if you're here to just pick up an order and take off again, great. Come in, park, get your order and go. The problem is where we're having like folks just like idle for long periods of time or parking there all day and not paying their meter. So I think I would just invite. I think that's a comment that WABA is going to put when we submit a letter around this project. I think that's going to be something that we want to integrate. DDOT is doing lots of cool things, and that's maybe one that could help here in Adams Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all those thoughts. Looks like we have another hand up from Andrew, or someone that has Andrew's phone. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, this is Andrew. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can. How are you doing?
All right. Hey, I'm good. This is Andrew Nimmer. So I'm the owner of High Road Hotel at 18th and Belmont. I also live in the neighborhood. So I am basically in Adams Morgan 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I love it. We've been here over 10 years. So we've seen a lot. We've also seen 18th Street change a lot. One thing I would just want to get out there is that Adams Morgan, especially 18th Street, has been experimented upon quite heavily the last 3 years. Before COVID, you kind of knew what to expect. Since COVID, first there were the streeteries and all the changes, of course, totally understandable. But then we were also subject to the streetery pilot program. Great idea, but it didn't really work out very well. But the businesses have been tossed and tumbled around, and no one really knows what to expect. It's been hard to do business. And if you look at what's happened to the regional economy, where the GDP fell by -9%, which is astounding, it's been really hard to do businesses, especially as a food and beverage type business, which most of them are on 18th Street. So I just want to like get out there the fact that maybe we shouldn't experiment again on 18th Street right now. You know, maybe option two isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not perfect, but it's just also maybe not a great time to try something zany. So I would just like to kind of keep that in mind that the businesses thrive when there's certainty, and nothing's been certain for at least like 3 or 4 years at this point. Second thing is a parking protected bike lane. Yeah, it's definitely good in practice and in theory, maybe. But on 18th Street, that would eliminate forever the chance for restaurants to get a streetery. And with a possible relaxation of streetery rules and regulations on the horizon, I wouldn't want to take away the option from a struggling restaurant to one day have a streetery. So I would just want to keep that in mind when they try to lay out the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew, for those thoughts. As your commissioner and as a commissioner that has a lot of businesses, these are thoughts I've heard a bit, so I want to reiterate that. Commissioners, any other comments, questions? I have some, but I'll wait to see if anyone else has any ideas of how to proceed. Okay, so the way I see it, I guess the first question would be, do we think that we should propose taking some sort of action or not? I personally think that's worth us voicing something. If anyone agrees, that's totally fine. Disagrees, that's totally fine. It's also fine to agree. But then if we were to say something, the question would be, do we want to make substantive recommendations and get more specific, or do we want to take some sort of larger kind of we reject proposal A and support proposal B, et cetera, or do we want to take some third route that I'm not kind of thinking of? Anyone have any thoughts on kind of that assessment of things? Commissioner Olson.
Okay, yeah, I was cranky before, but I should say the bike lane option is it is a good one. I think if in the absence of major redesigns to the street, it is probably the best thing that can be done with just paint and so forth. So I don't know. I wonder if it's just worth taking like a quick straw poll or something among this group to see, if of options like reject the slate, hard median, bike lane. I don't know if there's like another one. I just wonder if all of us would pretty quickly converge on something. Maybe it's harder to take an actual vote, but I'll just say that that's sort of where I'm.
And I will add, like I've been going through, this is kind of a common thing that I think about it when we're on a meeting and we have very little time, like in ANC bureaucratic type of time, like to come up with a thing, but we also were not given much time to prepare, and we also don't have paid staff to develop legislative proposals for us. So we have to kind of go, okay, on this meeting, do we on the fly develop the text of a resolution or something that we haven't been able to read because it's not written yet, and then we need to support that and pass it in the same evening. That's hard. So maybe not getting into the nitty gritty on this meeting would be in our best interest. But anyway, Commissioner Laughlin.
I mean, I guess I just want more information. So could we actually invite DDOT to come to a meeting specific to our ANC to discuss, like, because I would like a more back and forth conversation, I guess. And I guess I don't quite get the motivation for why they think they need to do this right now. Like, is it a requirement? Do they have like funding they need to spend up? Like, I guess I'm just trying to understand the underlying reason. And if this would probably, I mean, too bad we're now in the summer months, but like, I know we are trying to do more direct and community outreach with our constituents in the area, because this could be a good town hall. Like if we wanted to do a larger town hall meeting again, this would be a really good topic and one to focus on. Because it's not only 18th Street. Commissioner Diamond alluded to this too, and I've seen in the chat or a question from also from Kristen, like it would be a good time for DDOT to update on how the Columbia Bus Road project has gone. Like it's been a year now. So like I feel like we could have a combined like DDOT Palooza updates and conversation with the community about both 18th Street, but also how the bus priority program has gone.
Commissioner Balky.
Oh, thanks. I'll probably yield to Commissioner Fucillo. I was just going to ask, what is the timeline that we need to respond to here? And is this something that these meetings we're talking about, this sounds to me like something that is appropriate for PZT to do if there's time and availability, et cetera. So with that, I'll yield back.
I'll give it my shot. I don't know the answer to the timeline question. My impression is just based off of last week's meeting. They had said they were trying to solicit survey feedback, and the survey is like extremely simple. It's literally just one or two. They wanted that by, I think, like the 20 something, 25th-ish, 26th of June. And I do, if I'm not mistaken, remember them saying that they want to get a decision made so that they can start construction in the warm months. Beyond that, I don't know. So I don't like we can try to get them to come to meet up. Well, I'll actually hold those comments. But as far as the timeline, I don't remember any specifics being put forward. But if anyone remembers, please share.
It's
Commissioner Palmer.
June 26th is when they're closing stakeholder feedback. So I think Commissioner Laughlin, your idea is awesome. I think it's a great thing for us to do. I'm just a little worried about the timeline. And I'm worried about us not being able to move quickly enough to get things in by that deadline. We obviously all agree that the approach here is not great that they've taken and we don't have enough time, but I'd rather weigh in on the two options than not weigh in at all. And maybe we can, not maybe, I would like for us to do something with DDOT where we can get some of these updates and people can share some of their thoughts. But I just think when it comes to this specific situation, I would rather us weigh in right now about these two options.
Thank you. I have thoughts that I'll share after Commissioner Fucila goes.
Yeah, no, I agree. On the one hand, I guess we should like maybe have our thoughts prepared and maybe spend a week or two trying to, as kind of Commissioner Laughlin brought up the idea of, whether it be a town hall, whatever, like happy to, I know we haven't had a PZT meeting in a little while, but like trying to like use that as the impetus to get DDOT to a PZT meeting at the very least. So maybe have our plan like this. Okay, if we're stuck with just these two, okay, this is what we decide. But then give it, since we've got until the 26th, because it says closes on the 26th. DDOT's posting their notice of intent to propose the final plan in early July. Construction begins in August. So basically, yeah, we've got. I mean, I'd say we have till June 26th. So, yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable, as chair of PZT taking some lead on that, but I don't. I want to make sure that we're all comfortable with what we can do in the next basically 23 days.
All right, thank you for that, Commissioner. All right, any other thoughts? I think a motion. Commissioner Diamond, go ahead.
Just since I wasn't at the meeting, could you put the survey in the chat, how to access the survey? Because I would also like to send it to my Ally listserv, because I feel like a lot of people don't like if you were gone for a week, you would have totally missed this. It's not a lot of time. So and if there's an NOI, just give us the information so we can share it with our neighbors and our constituents. Because I feel like if this is our chance for community input, we as a commission will give our input, but it's also not a bad idea for us to allow our constituents to weigh in as well.
Yeah, I think a couple of us put the link in the chat.
Great, thank you.
And as far as a notice of intent and NOI, I don't think there is one because I don't think they have a specific project to put onto that yet. So
Okay.
I don't know exactly what the timeline of that might be, but at the moment, I haven't seen anything come in. Commissioner,
Thank you.
Yeah, one other thing I just noticed when I was looking on slide 22 has the link and has the dates, and then slide 23 says two options only, as though like they are saying there is no changing that. So I'm happy to reach out to them and just be like, hey, can we talk about this? But like just to notice the language there, I thought that was interesting and annoying.
Commissioner Swanson Palmer.
Sorry, I know I'm just maybe a broken record at this point, but if we were to put this off and we didn't, decide as a commission to weigh in as one, group, and we decide that we want someone from DDOT to come to the PZT meeting, which I think is great, we also have to remember that I don't know if everyone here is going to be able to come to that PZT meeting. And I just would like for us to be able to move forward as a group if that's possible, if those are our options. So I think that's all I have to say.
Noted. Any other comments? Because I have an idea. Okay, so I'll move that we send a letter to DDOT that says, and this can be open for discussion if we get a second, that we send a letter saying In the event that we're forced to choose one of these two options, as a commission, we support the Plan B, which is unprotected bike lanes. However, we feel that the community input process has been insufficient, and we would prefer to have DDOT representatives attend our PZT meeting and or some sort of independent town hall that we would schedule pending space availability in order to discuss this at further detail to modify this to our kind of our needs and wants. Can I get a second to discuss this?
Second, and I can't wait to write this long thing into the minutes.
I'll just look back at the video. There should be humanoid AI bots that do this for us by now, but we don't have the budget, so I'll just do it myself. Anyone thoughts on that? Does that sound okay? Does that sound unreasonable? Please, like, be honest.
That sounds entirely reasonable.
All right, anyone else? I think I have a document already open. So, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, if it was a project that we liked, it's kind of nice that they're going quickly, but it's not exactly that. So we have to move with haste to try to get attention. But I mean, there's no guarantee that they will come. We try to get them. Well, I was trying to work with them to get to attend last month's meeting, and it didn't happen. So it's impossible to predict if they'll be interested. But we can try and ask and see how that goes. Any other thoughts? Any like small modifications or I guess big modifications to the motion on the floor? Anyone in the community have any further thoughts? All right, so let's put it to a vote. All those in favor of submitting a letter to the Department of Transportation, we're offering begrudging support for Plan B, which proposes having unprotected bike lanes on the 2 blocks of 18th Street and Navs Morgan, and also conveying our preference to have at least one or two public meetings, which may or may not be at the PZT committee and some sort of independent town hall in order to improve community engagement and try to solicit a more satisfying proposal to be put towards the community. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I want you to say that over again, Peter. Say it again. Kidding.
Can
I'm
I get a
kidding.
second? Can I get a second on that motion? The motion fails. All right. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you for everyone that came through that. I'll get to work on that as soon as I can. And thank you for everyone that was attending. I know that it's a simple agenda, but an interesting item. And if we are able to schedule some sort of meeting, it'll probably be done quickly. So we'll do our best to notify the community, but can't necessarily predict what that might look like if that happens. So just pay attention to the website, pay attention to the listserv, et cetera, et cetera. And on that, we adjourn for the evening. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.